It was 11 p.m. and the living room resembled a nightclub. Empty bottles of expensive wine lay scattered on the floor, and the faint smell of burnt weed hung in the air. Jane, the rebellious daughter of Chief Ago, stood in the middle of the chaos, raising her glass in defiance. Her wild laughter echoed as her friends cheered her on. "She's going to ruin everything we've built," Emmanuel would often say to his father, his voice tight with frustration. "How can she not understand the importance of our family's reputation?" Chief Okonkwo had built his petroleum empire from nothing. He clawed his way up through determination, intelligence, and resilience. His sons were extensions of his vision, disciplined, ambitious, and always thinking about the family's image and future. But Jane, she was chaos personified. As a child, while other little girls played with dolls and learned traditional dance, she was climbing trees, racing with boys, and causing chaos wherever she went. Her first major rebellion came during a family gathering when she was 8. Dressed in a carefully pursed lace dress meant for a family photo, she instead decided to jump into the compound's fish pond, ruining not just her outfit, but creating a scene that would become legendary in the Ago family stories. By 14, she was sneaking out of the house regularly. Her mother would discover her absence only when the household staff would report missing valuables. Jane had an extensive network of friends from various social circles. Her parties became legendary, not just among teenagers, but even in the broader social scene. She would rent entire beach houses, organize events that seemed more like wild festivals than typical teenage gatherings. At other times, she shocked her parents with an unexpected debit alert from her wild shopping. Her parents would often hear whispers that circulated in exclusive social circles, stories of their daughter's escapades that left them ashamed. Her parents tried every strategy imaginable, from stern warnings, grounding, even hiring private investigators to track her activities, yet nothing worked. Jane thrived on rebellion. "Jane, when will you stop?" Emeka asked one evening when he saw her stumble into the house drunk. She laughed in his face, the sound sharp and mocking. "Relax, big brother. Life is sweet." Her recklessness peaked on her 24th birthday, when she threw a lavish party at a private beach. The party ended in chaos when she crashed her car, earning herself a broken arm and a scolding from her parents. Still, the incident barely fazed her. Her mother would cry in private, worried about her daughter's future. "What will become of her?" she would ask her husband, her voice breaking with worry. But everything changed the day she fell seriously ill. At first, they thought it was just another of her dramatic episodes. But as weeks passed and medical tests became more frequent, a different kind of fear began to grip the Okonkwo family. For weeks, Jane was confined to her bed, unable to leave her room. Her parents were terrified, but grateful that something was finally able to tame Jane. However, one night, Jane escaped. She sneaked out of the house, helped by her friends to hang out. The next morning, they received a call from the hospital. Jane had collapsed at a club and was rushed to emergency care. Chief Ago was furious, but seeing his daughter unconscious on the hospital bed softened his anger. "We can't keep doing this," he told his wife. When the family met with the doctor, he wore a grave expression. "I'm sorry, Chief Ago," he began. "The test results are conclusive. Jane has an aggressive illness and she has about 2 months to live." The news hit Jane like a sledgehammer. For the first time in her life, she was silent. Tears streamed down her mother's face, and even Chuka and Emeka struggled to contain their emotions. Jane stared at the doctor, her voice barely above a whisper. 2 months? "Yes," the doctor replied, avoiding her gaze. The diagnosis hit Jane differently than anyone expected. At night, when the house was silent, Jane would stare at the ceiling, her mind racing. She who had lived life so recklessly, who had always believed she was invincible, was now facing the most terrifying experience. She remembered all the times she had hurt her parents and dismissed their concerns. The parties, the wild nights, the endless rebellion, they suddenly felt so meaningless. What Jane did not know was that the diagnosis was a lie, a carefully orchestrated scheme by her family. Chuka had been the mastermind. "We've tried everything else, and nothing worked," he argued during a family meeting. "Maybe, if she thinks she's dying, she'll finally take life seriously. Chief Argo had been hesitant at first, but after much persuasion, he agreed. They partnered with a trusted family doctor to fabricate the diagnosis. Medications were also prescribed to mimic symptoms. At first, the plan seemed like a disaster. Jane became severely depressed, refusing to eat or speak. Then her parents grew worried, but the doctor assured them it was part of the process. But then, slowly, things began to change. Jane grew quieter and more introspective. The loud music that once defined her presence was replaced by silence. She started reading books, and during the day, she would sit in the garden, watching her mother tend to her plants. Previously, she would have found this boring and would have made some sarcastic comment. Now, she watched with a newfound appreciation. Her friends noticed the change too. "Jane, what's wrong with you?" one of them asked during a rare visit. "Let's hit the road. There is a new club opening tonight." But Jane shook her head. "I'm not interested," she said softly. But their visits became less frequent until they stopped altogether. Jane's transformation delighted her family. She began to show kindness and gratitude, traits they had never associated with her before. She helped her mother in the kitchen and even joined Chuka and Emeka for family prayers. "We should tell her the truth," Chief Argo suggested one evening. "She's changed enough." But before they could act, disaster struck. One morning, Jane didn't come down for breakfast. When her mother went to check on her, she found her unconscious on the floor. A bottle of pills lay beside her. Panicking, they rushed her to the hospital. Hours later, the doctor emerged from the operating room. "She's stable," he announced. Relief washed over the family, but when Jane woke up, her walls shattered them. "I couldn't take it anymore," she confessed, her voice weak. "I thought God was punishing me for my past. I wanted to show him I was sorry by ending it sooner." Her parents wept. Chief Argo held her hand tightly, his voice breaking. "Jane, we love you. We've forgiven you for everything. Please do not give up." At that moment, the doctor entered the room, his expression one of feigned surprise. "Jane, I don't know how to explain this, but your latest tests show no trace of the illness. I think it's a miracle." Jane's eyes widened. "What? Are you serious?" "Yes," the doctor confirmed. "You're going to live." Her family erupted in joyous exclamations, their relief genuine despite the lie. Jane cried tears of gratitude, vowing to make the most of her second chance at life. Over the following months, she continued to thrive. She went back to school and committed to her studies. She became a source of pride for her family. However, the secret remained between the family and the doctor, a bond they swore to keep until the time was right to reveal.